Hi, I'm Monika Bachmann. Since you're interested in seeing me in action as a teacher, I thought I would just invite you into the trenches and expose you to a normal day in a normal classroom. How I usually start the class is with current events. I do this for a couple of reasons. Especially in the beginning of the semester, I think it's a nice way for the students to get more comfortable in the class, to break the ice for me to establish a rapport with them. And then I also think it's an effective way to bridge the past with the present. I mean, all current events have a history to them, and I think it's important for us to show the students how to make those connections to see why history does matter. Once we're done with the current events, then I move on to whatever assignment I had for them for that particular class. In this instance, I had them do a short essay on the legacy of Rome. I like those kind of assignments because there's a research component, there's a writing component, and then when they have that kind of background, they can bring that in the class and we can discuss it. This way we really can have a discussion. It's not just a monologue on my part. And then finally, once we've dispatched with the Romans, then in this case, I move on to the sort of the heart of the class. It would have been, and it was, a brief introduction into the early Middle Ages. So I hope from this short video that you're going to see that you have some sense of what I'm like in the classroom, and also have a sense that I really like being there. Hear about this one, the attack on the painting?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yes, right? Apparently a woman walked in the National Gallery of Art and saw this painting of Gauguin's and tried to destroy it. And the only reason I found this particularly interesting was the historical reference, because the guy that tackled her to stop her, because she said, oh, this is evil, and the CIA has, you know, stuff in my head, and you know where this is going. The guy who tackled her said she went berserk. All right, so where does that word come from?
Berserker?
You know the word berserk?
Yeah. Berserker?
What is it? Yeah, who are the berserkers?
Viking, what, warriors?
Yeah.
Non-Romans.
Right, not Romans, right? Right. The Roman Empire is down the toilet now, right? And Europe is in chaos. We're going to talk about this for the next couple of days. During one of the darker periods of the Middle Ages, the Vikings, right, from Scandinavia, invade Europe. And one group of those Vikings were known as the berserkers because they went particularly nuts as they ran amok in Europe, to the point where the Europeans still remember this, right? And the word is brought down to us. They're supposed to have been on shrooms. You don't know this, okay? But that was part of the thinking, right? So berserkers, right, is one of these references. Good. What else, Danielle? What about Libya?
I told you to set up.
You still there?
Yeah, that's why I parked in
I
there.
heard something about a standstill.
So you guys have lost interest already.
Yeah.
Right? Remember the attention span for anyone's story is about 10 days, right? And then we move on. We're still there, and Gaddafi's using human shields.
He's on the cover of Time.
He is?
Oh.
Really?
Elizabeth Taylor in the corner.
Oh, man.
Really? I'm sure she'd be flattered. Really? What is he like, villain of the year or something?
It's like, will he ever leave or something?
Oh, yeah, right. Right. Well, one of his worries, of course, is that if he leaves anywhere from Libya and the relative safety of Libya, then he might be assassinated. I mean, he's genuinely worried about this. I was just reading that the other day. He thinks he's going to be assassinated. Which, by the way, is another word. Where does that term come from?
Assassin.
Who are the assassins?
Want to assassinate.
They were just guys that kill people. Right? The assassins were a little bit earlier than the Vikings. Were a 700-800 year Shia sect. The Muslims are divided into Sunnis and Shiites. Right? They are a Shia sect that saw that the Shiite were declining in power in the Middle East, and so they decided to advance their cause via killing peoples. Okay? So they set up shop in places like Syria and Lebanon, and even the other Shiites didn't like them, right? Because they were just that destabilizing to the region. And then when the Crusaders came in, and we're going to talk about the Crusaders in a little while, the assassins went after the Crusaders as well, which is again why that term comes back to us via Europe, because the Crusaders remember these guys. Political assassination, believe it or not, at least at that scale, is a relatively new invention. So again, he's worried about assassins. In that case, now I asked you guys tonight for a little essay on the Romans.
Roman legacy.
Legacy. And, all right, well, let's have some ideas here. Why do we spend a ton of time, because we do, on the Romans? Short answer is because they leave a tremendous legacy in Western Civ. All right, let's get specific then. Ronnie, do you remember? Did you write anything? Good. What else?
Philosophy and politics.
All right. What do you mean?
Our system of government is derived almost directly from a Roman system of government, which is why we've got various branches. And as far as philosophy goes, everybody stems from Socrates in the West.
Why didn't George Washington drape himself in a toga? Right? Yeah, exactly. Because not only does it give him legitimacy, but it's this connection. It's not just me, the president, but it's our government based on a system that worked very well for 1,000 years anyway, right? Right, for instance, this idea of a bicameral, this two-chamber government, right? The House and the Senate, right? That's very much a Roman institution. Yeah, exactly, right? So I guess for a lot of reasons, it matters. Same way that Christianity matters. You have to understand Christianity to be able to understand Western Civ. I'm not saying you have to believe in it philosophically, but you have to understand the history of it. Same with the Romans. You don't have to like them, right? But you have to at least understand what they're doing. Some of the early American founding fathers kind of liked the idea of associating themselves with Roman rulers. So I don't know if they actually posed in the toga, the sword, but nonetheless, yeah. George Washington would probably have approved of this, right? So it added a little panache to your image, right? If you could associate yourself some way. I don't know if you would have said, oh yeah, me and Nero, we were like this. I don't know about that. Okay, maybe they would have used someone like a Constantine instead, right? Or someone like an Augustus. But still, absolutely. Right? So this, what other ways? What other legacies do we see all around us that are Roman?
They gave us a lot of our culture. Like, they had a bunch of taverns and baths and theaters that we all use today. I mean, they had brothels as well, but some people, well, yeah, but
I'll put the modern conveniences.
And the gladiatorial games,
Now, why do the Romans provide all this?
entertainment.
Gladiatorial games, yeah. Why the baths?
So people could keep clean.
Yeah, but why would they care? I mean, you're right.
They were more like public houses, weren't they? Yeah, it was just community gathering areas.
Certain public health perspective there too, right? I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I would think that somewhere there's this connection about being relatively clean and being able to prevent some of the worst outbreaks of plagues and diseases. The gladiatorial games to keep you happy, so you never miss voting. That's what you never really did. Good. The roads, the post office. Rome at its height is going to be some 50 million citizens in one big free trade zone. You want to be able to maximize that economic benefit, right? By getting people from A to B as quickly as possible, by getting communication there quickly, for the Roman legions to get to where they need to go to, of course. But all of this made sense to the Romans, and it made you happier. Good, what else? What other legacies?
education.
Education, literature, absolutely.
And like languages.
All right.
Times New Roman.
The Latin. Yeah. AM and PM, right, are Roman. Right?
Isn't it like before
Antemeridia and yep, exactly. Before 12 and after, right? Essentially before 12 and after 12.
Before.
Right, ante means before. Yep, exactly. And the PM is right, is post, is after. Only the English-speaking languages, by the way, use AM and
Semper Fidelis.
Right. What does it mean? Always faithful. Okay, so Semper Fi, because we're even too lazy to, right? This is another one I pull out, which means seize the day, right? I mean, this, like I said, these are all things.
Veni Vidi Vici.
Which means.
Came, I saw, and conquered.
Yeah, right. One of the most famous military dispatches ever written by Caesar when he came to Gaul. Right. Caesar was a shameless self-promoter. Okay, he was the whole time he was away. He kept sending dispatches back to Rome, and in a really weird tense too. Caesar got to Gaul, and Caesar had lunch, and Caesar checked out the site, and Caesar came home, right? There's a Seinfeld episode like that. Right? So, anyway, right? That's where they got this from Caesar's Dispatch. If you ever had to take enough Latin, you will have read Caesar. He did write very well, too.
I bet he would have loved Twitter.
Yes, yes, absolutely. He's coming back to Rome all the time. I see this now. Alter ego.
Your other self.
Your other, right? Your other self, your other side. Right. What if we want to measure the wealth of a country? We say gross national product per capita, which means per person, right? Capita head, right? Per head, per capita. Right? So per capita means per person. Architecture, and not just architecture, but what's related?
Materials, concrete.
Right, that's right. Right. The Romans gave us concrete. Yes. I can't imagine Soviet-style architecture without it. What else?
Systems of aqueducts and
The Romans, but I mean.
The Legion, didn't they?
the military did.
Yeah, yeah. You keep thinking slaves, and yeah, they had slave labor, but when they weren't fighting, they had to keep these guys busy, right? So they built this kind of stuff. What else did the Roman army build?
Roads.
Yeah, I got one of those somewhere too.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
That's the Via Appia, okay, the Appian Way, which connects Rome to its southernmost provinces in the rest of the peninsula. It's a couple hundred miles long. Mile markers every mile, that sort of thing. Yeah, still in existence. If they're not in existence, it's because
They were destroyed.
they were destroyed and then the building materials used for other purposes. Anyone recognize what they're looking at here?
Oh, one-way streets.
Well, yeah. Right. What's the map of?
DC.
Washington, D.C., okay? This is a classic Roman type of city planning, though, okay? The Romans had these sort of avenues that radiated into different directions. They had city blocks imposed under those, right? Had one-way streets, right?
And it's kind of strange also because the White House and the Capitol are also based off of Roman architecture.
All these reasons, Rome matters. I'm not saying they were nice guys. Never said the Romans were nice guys, right? Nobody cobbles together an empire and rules it for as long as they did by being nice. But they certainly left a legacy, right? In a way that, like an Alexander the Great, right? Yeah, fine, he put that whole thing together in what, 11, 12, 13 years? How long did it last?
About that long.
Yeah, right. As soon as he went under, they start fighting and the whole thing goes to hell. Exactly, right? The Romans are the last one. So that was the kind of thing I was hoping I'd get from your essay.